The story opens up to a man running in fear, while the other guy is trying to stop an armed man from shooting. He heard the sound of a gunshot and his friend falling to the ground, but he kept on running with the chip. An attack occurred in the Defense Development Building. The SWAT team is trying to stop the attacker, but they managed to get through and killed a bunch of officers in the process. The news says most of the attackers were caught before stealing the ADD data chip. Kim Jun appears holding the chip and hiding in fear from the attacker that killed his friend, threatening him to give him the chip. In the heat of the moment, Kim Jun swallowed the chip as a last resort. He was then shot by the attacker. He angrily held him and told him he went too far defending the chip and that he would have easily made an offer to save his life. The SWAT team suddenly entered the room, firing at the attacker. Kim Jun was getting unconscious from the blood, but he was relieved that the chip was finally safe. Kim Jun was stated dead, and they found the chip during his autopsy. Suddenly, Kim Jun is slowly waking up on the floor with a crying girl in front of his sight. She hit him in the face, trying to wake him up. Kim Jun stood up, holding his bleeding head, unable to recognize where he was, still not sure if he's alive or dead. He quickly realized he was in a bar and his head was injured. The girl told him he was hit with a bottle, knocking him unconscious. Turns out he was the one who started the fight, and the two guys hit him out of self-defense. She started guiding him to take him to a hospital. He still doesn't recognize the girl. She told him she's the secretary, Yang. They were then met with a big guard offering to help and referring to Kim Jun as director. He held him and took him outside to get him into the hospital. Jun didn't recognize the car, and when he looked at the window reflection, his face was different. It was the face of a friend that died a long time ago. He asked about the time and year. It was January 5th, 1998, his birthday and the day his friend Hyun Sung died. He ended up in the body of his friend who died from a bar fight in the past. He finally reached the hospital, and the results of his checkup indicated that no serious injuries happened. The secretary insisted on staying in the hospital in case anything happened, but he refused and wanted to go home and rest his mind a bit. Hyun Sung's father entered the room. He was Jin Hyun Pil, the chairman of Jaewoo Group. He asked with an angry look on his face about what happened. The secretary told him that everything was fine, making it clear that if the fight rumors spread to the media, he would face consequences. He then left the room. Kim Jun was surprised that he didn't get punished. He remembered that his friend hated talking about his family. He arrived at his apartment, looked in the mirror, and wondered what his body was doing at this time and year. He noticed a tattoo on his hand that looked like a chip. A hologram appeared with a password input screen. He recognized the screen. It was designed by the company he worked with. He entered his ID and password and was surprised that it let him in. It had everything the ADD data chip had inside: advanced weapon blueprints and even manufacturing processes for essential materials. He realized he had hit the jackpot, as now he had the knowledge to patent many materials and develop cutting-edge technology that wasn't possible in this era. While talking so vigorously, a sudden pain in his head appeared, and some of Hyun Sung's memories flashed in his brain. He dropped to the floor unconscious. His friend's memories were forcibly being implanted into his brain. He discovered Hyun Seung was an adopted son, caused too many problems, and was demoted to a minor affiliate. He was quickly defeated, and world domination was no longer possible. He wiped it out of his mind and thought about apologizing to his friend's father for the mess yesterday. He asked the assistants, but they told him he was very busy and could not arrange any meetings with him. He knew it was just an excuse, but he decided to wait. The female assistants were very surprised by his reaction and sweet smile, as he used to be a big troublemaker. He went to his dad's office and noticed a report paper on the desk about firepower testing. Taking a quick look, he knew that Korea was wasting time on these projects trying to surpass American uranium bullets with tungsten ones. A brilliant idea popped into his head. Everything they developed in the future was inside that chip on his arm. Quickly, he went to the computer and rewrote the report, fixing the mistakes and improving the weapons. The chairman entered the room. Kim Jun welcomed him and apologized for the trouble he caused at the bar. The chairman didn't take any of his words seriously. Kim Jun insisted on him taking a look at the new report he made to improve the firepower. He skeptically read it, telling him it could not be improved any further, but he was shocked to see that a 20% penetration power was made possible with the new plan. Kim Jun told him that if he gave him a chance, he could get it ready within 3 months. They started talking about how powerful weapons would be with that tungsten penetrator. The chairman was still skeptical about it. How could he develop such material? Kim Jun told him that he had a PhD in metal engineering, so how could he think little of him? He replied that only German facilities had this level of technology, and he had been traveling overseas. Kim Jun angrily responded, if he was accusing him of stealing classified technologies, and if he had any doubts, he could quickly verify it at the Miletus Research Institute. The chairman agreed and told his assistants to send the report to Director Sung-un to verify it himself. Kim Jun was surprised upon hearing that name. He was his old professor at the time, but he didn't recall him being the director of Miletus Research Institute. He dedicated his life to teaching at the university until the day he passed away. It was clearly not the same future he remembered. Suddenly, more Seung memories flooded in. Hyun Sung recruited Professor Myung to build his foundation at Miletus. The future had been altered. The phone started ringing. It was a call from Director Myung Sung. He stated that the report he gave him was a completely new approach, and he had never seen anything like it before. A strong expression of happiness was clear on the chairman's face. He asked what it was that he was asking. He wouldn't just lay down a big card and not ask something in return. He offered him a purchasing team leader role, but Kim Jun refused. The role. If he wanted the money, he would have sold his research somewhere else. He wanted the development team leader role. The chairman was surprised. How could his son suddenly have such a drastic change? He told him to get out and wait for him to discuss it with the executives. Just before Kim Jun was leaving, the door opened and a guy entered, referring to the chairman as father. He heard everything from outside and asked if his brother, Hyun Seung, was returning to Miletus. He was the executive director, Jin Hyun Cheol of Miletus, Hyun Sung's brother from a different mother, whom he was always jealous of. He teased him a bit, then Kim Jun left the room saying things were going to get fun. He stayed at his desk, reviewing the business landscape, preparing for his return to Miletus. He got surprised when the secretary didn't leave. She told him she couldn't leave while he was still working overtime and offered him help. He ordered her to summarize the defense affiliates. She gave him the Jaewoo Daeon reports to start with. Jaewoo Daeon is one of the 3 major defense affiliates under the Jaewoo Group, specializing in developing tanks and warplanes. Next is Cosmos Euro, originally established for fighter jet maintenance, a future key partner in developing South Korea's next generation of fighter jets. And, finally, the Jaewoo Miletus reports, the company that he must be in control of no matter what. Knowing that having Miletus would naturally give him the upper hand on Daeon and Cosmos Euro, he explained that Miletus was the core and holding company of Jaewoo Group, and how useful their material manufacturing is for the growth of weapons. She noticed Miletus's revenue was higher than the others. He explained that without materials, weapon production wouldn't be possible. The secretary was impressed. She thought he chose Miletus because it was a lesser-known company, therefore easier to manage. Their conversation was interrupted by a phone call. With an excited voice, she told him that starting from tomorrow, he would be the team leader of the Miletus development team. It's only a starting point on a rough road, but he couldn't hide his excitement. A month has passed since Kim Jun was in charge of the development of the new armor-piercing bullets, and things are going smoothly. Once the development is complete and they jump into mass production, he will have succeeded in gaining Chairman Jin's trust. But it wasn't enough for him. He needed to have a bigger role and lead the development of the next new weapons in the future. He needs a groundbreaking weapon design to assure getting that role, like a smart shell. A smart shell can redirect its position to hit the tag target. If he could develop such a weapon in that era, all the neighboring countries wouldn't even dream of achieving such military advancement. He noticed the assistant driving the car was glancing at him from the rearview mirror. He apologized and told him his deep-in-thought expression was very unusual for him. Kim Jun remembered from Hyun Sung's memories that Yang was a master of judo and had a successful career winning championships. He found the assistant Yang by accident in a hospital hallway, despairing over his mother's surgery bill. Despite being strangers, Hyun Sung paid the full cost, starting their long-lasting connection. Afterward, Yang started working as his assistant as a way to repay him. Kim Jun asked him if he regretted giving up his athletic career and becoming an assistant. Yang answered that he doesn't regret anything at all, and if not for him, his sick mother would have died a long time ago. Arriving at the Miletus Integrated Research Center, Kim Jun saw Professor Seung from afar. He joked about him still drinking alcohol heavily every day, and that it was time to quit already for his own health. The reason he didn't want to meet with his old mentor was that, from his memories 10 years in the future, he would pass away from liver failure. Turns out the secretary, Kim, and Director Seung were cousins. They laughed with each other for a minute. Kim Jun pointed out that he seemed relaxed and that for sure the development of the new bullet material was going very smoothly. He answered with a yes, telling him that with the right equipment here there would be no issues. Miletus has the most diversity with the material processing equipment in the world, and that by next month, the first testing production would be ready. He suddenly remembered there was one issue with the new bullet. Despite keeping the same weight as the old ones, the muzzle pressure kept dropping when firing. The muzzle pressure is the force generated by the explosive charge inside the gun, which sends the bullet forward. Kim Jun quickly pointed out that it was clearly due to the new shape of shells that alters the pressure within the barrel. Director Seung was in shock. How could he have missed it? Learning from his own pupil, Director Seung said that Hyun Seung was more suited as a researcher than a businessman. He answered that he doesn't ever recall him saying that. Director responded that it might be Kim Soon. He always told him that. He asked if he heard anything about him. Kim Jun told him that he doesn't know anything, and he's looking for him, but still no news about him. At the building of Miletus, Secretary Kim, with a cheerful mood and a warm smile, asked Jun if he wanted a cup of coffee. He asked what the reason was for having such a good mood today. She showed him a disc containing the video test firing. She proposed to take a look at the video. He thought nothing of it since he had already seen it in his past life and body. The bullet pierced through the American tank armor like butter. It happened so quickly, Secretary Kim didn't know if it was a success or not. Jun, unable to hide his excitement, gave the weapon the name Grim Reaper, and soon the chairman would push the military for mass production. They would need materials for that mass production, so he needed to get those ready. Secretary Kim was talking on the phone, then turning to Kim Jun with a smile, telling him that the chairman wanted to meet him. He got frustrated, thinking they just wanted him to hurry up with the production. She comforted him while fixing his tie and told him not to worry, since they invited him to a hotel, not the headquarters, implying that it was an invitation to lunch. He got flustered from her kindness and words. Going to the hotel, he was welcomed by the waiter, telling him the team leader was waiting for him in the private room. Upon entering the room, he noticed not only his father was there, but also the group of executives, meaning it wasn't just a normal lunch invitation. He sat at the table, asking if there was any problem. The chairman denied having any problem and said he just wanted to have lunch with him. He mentioned that he had read the reports, and watching the test footage made him wonder what could have possibly happened to bring him to his senses like that. Kim Jun was happy that his plans were going smoothly with his father. The chairman told him he could have whatever he wanted, he could just ask. Kim Jun got excited and asked for the licensing fees, since Miletus had profited so much from his developments. The father was skeptical about it, but eventually realized his son was actually serious about it and told him he would consider it. He stopped talking and handed him a paper, telling him it was the reason he called him for. It was a production request form, and that he had already submitted it to the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Because the Army had been eager about this idea for so long, and they were holding a production meeting today. Kim Jun asked how many rounds they might order. The father predicted they might order roughly 100,000 rounds. Kim Jun said it could be around 20 billion won in sales. The father told him the sales weren't important, it was the profit margins that mattered, and he estimated a 4.5 billion won in profit. The son corrected him, saying it should be 30% more since it's specialized ammunition, about 6 billion won. He added that Miletus would be able to independently fund its own weapon development instead of relying on military support. Just when he wanted to mention the smart shells, an executive's phone rang, interrupting the conversation. It was a call from Lieutenant General Kim Tae-ik of the 7th Mobile Corps. The executives kept talking on the phone, getting worried from the general's responses. The chairman understood it was some bad news and asked him what was the matter. He answered that the Army changed their plans and would only go for 7,000 rounds per year. Kim Jun thought to himself it wouldn't even cover the production cost. How could they do that after being so insistent on the mass production? The father told him not to get disheartened and that business had its losses sometimes. Kim Jun denied having any losses yet and proposed selling to others since the Army backstabbed them first. They couldn't complain. He asked for his support and that he would take responsibility for the selling. The next day, the chairman and Kim Jun appeared walking together into the United Nations building. He asked if the U.S. military would really buy their armor-piercing shells. The father said it was worth a shot. Kim Jun said that the U.S. needed their weapons since the new shells were groundbreaking. The father wasn't so happy about selling weapons to other nations while Korea could benefit from them. The son called him a patriot for caring more about the country than his own company's profit and told him not to worry about the country. If his plan succeeded, the military chiefs would restore the order volume. The father didn't understand how exporting weapons could change the chiefs' minds. Kim Jun told him to be patient, and he'd find out soon if he gave him full authority over this matter. His dad told him he brought that project to life so he could do whatever he saw fit and that he would have his support. Upon entering the commander's office, he was welcomed with a bitter attitude. Kim Jun went straight to the point and told the commander he brought an opportunity to him. He gave him the reports paper for his new tungsten shells, but the commander didn't think much of it. Why would the U.S. military buy the more expensive shells when they had more affordable uranium shells? He declined the offer, but Kim Jun didn't give up yet and forced the commander to watch the test footage of the rounds. He was shocked to say the least when he witnessed the bullets go through multiple armors. Not even the American bullets could would get through one. He couldn't believe what he saw and asked why they would export such weapons to the US. Kim Jong said that the American military needed them the most. He mentioned the radioactive leakage America was suffering right now due to the production of the uranium shells, and that he knew the US was trying to develop similar ones. The commander admitted he got caught and that America was really trying to develop armor-piercing shells, but they aborted the project due to it being costly. Kim Jong then offered him to buy their new tungsten rounds for the same price as the uranium ones. The commander didn't believe what he heard and immediately gave them a signed recommendation letter to send it straight to the high-power people. The commander then thanked Jun and shook hands, meaning they were on good terms. In the following days, Kim Jong received a phone call from the former head of the U.S. Army Weapons Acquisition. He said that he reviewed all the documents that were sent and complimented the tungsten rounds. He then offered to send him some armors as samples to test the rounds more accurately. Kim Jong agreed to that. After 10 days, the commander was having a mental breakdown over how good the rounds were and excitedly asked if they could produce 100,000 rounds every year. Kim Jong was shocked by that number and was hesitant, but he agreed on a 5-year contract. The commander told him that tomorrow the representative would bring the needed documents. The chairman was surprised but happy about the volume America had requested, around 1 trillion won in revenue. But they had some issues with the Joint Chiefs since they kept pressuring Miletus into prioritizing their supply, fearing they would worsen their image if America took the new weapon. Kim Jong said it was only natural that he prioritized the U.S. supply, adding that their maximum production was exactly 100,000 rounds per year, so giving the Korean military even 1,000 rounds would delay the U.S. shipment. The chairman said he wouldn't give in to their unreasonable demands and that he would handle the Joint Chiefs. Jun interrupted him and said he should let him handle them himself, and he would make sure they never pulled such tricks on them ever again. His father was skeptical, but Jun told him he had plans. The father was shocked upon hearing his plans. Jun told him it was all part of his big plan from the beginning. Kim Jong and his secretary then appeared talking to reporters on the phone, offering to give them reports from Miletus to make good articles about the news. Days later, the official Korean news channel talked about the deal Miletus and the USA made, as it was the largest export deal. The sources said that the Korean military's total order for the rounds was just 7,000 units per year, after it was mysteriously reduced from 100,000, and the Joint Chiefs remained silent about this matter. Eventually, all the news channels started talking about it. Kim Jong's plan was going smoothly. His father then summoned him to his office. He entered the room, noticing all the representatives from the Joint Chiefs were present. The mood of the room was so tense. Jun introduced himself to the representatives, but one had already lost his temper and screamed at him, telling him about the mess he created, and that the Korean military was in chaos over the weapon exportation issue. Kim Jong denied having to take any responsibility due to the sudden reduction of units, originally ordered to a point of not even covering the production cost. Since they were a profit-seeking company, they could not accept such acts. The old guy then sat calmly and told him the president had already made a special order to restore the original order quantity. Kim Jong refused and told him they could barely fulfill the USA order. The old man then begged him to reconsider, since the president himself was involved in this, and it would make him look bad if rejected now. He asked if there was any way he could make it work. Jun told him that to make it possible, there must be a new additional factory, but it was not feasible at the current time. So the fastest solution was to convert the high-explosive shell production line to armor-piercing rounds. However, it required a huge investment, and to recover those losses, they needed to add 20,000 rounds per year on top of their original order for 3 years. He forcibly accepted the offer and got out of the room. The commander, Kim Tae-ik, stood up and introduced himself to Kim Jong, asking to meet up for lunch when he was free. Jun quickly went for a handshake, saying that he had heard a lot about him. The commander teased him slightly, saying that he had heard a lot about him too, like having bar fights and being a spoiled brat. He asked why he went to such lengths, to ensure their military had their newly developed weapons, since he already gained so much from the USA contract. Jun calmly answered, "Why would a businessman need a reason to sell more?" The commander didn't believe him, so Jun started being honest about his intentions. They could no longer protect the country with pure patriotism, and in modern warfare, where science and technology determine the victor, military power would mean developing and stocking superior weapons, and that he had to force the military to go that far and beyond. The commander admitted this was a dangerous statement and complimented his boldness. He stopped the conversation and told him he would like to talk somewhere privately later, maybe at lunch. He then left the room, leaving only the chairman and Kim Jun inside. Jun let out a sigh of relief after all the representatives had left, and told his father that he'd be adjusting the factory lines tomorrow. The chairman jokingly told him not to worry about worsening their ties with the military. That old commander might look like he had a say in stuff, but in a short while, he would be a civilian kicked out of his job. There shouldn't be anything to worry about, but he might make it to becoming the Minister of Defense, and he would have them in check if that happened. Jun quickly answered that this guy won't even finish his term. The chairman confusedly said that he couldn't possibly predict the future. But if this reality followed the same future Kim Jun is familiar with, the old commander will leave the military in disgrace after his corruption scandals got exposed. Kim Jun told him that betting on the other commander, Kim Tae-ik, was a wiser decision. His father told him to keep those thoughts to himself, or he will get himself into trouble. He asked him to get those documents on the desk, telling him they are the loyalties he asked for. He will take 4% of the sales from the new armor-piercing rounds in the future, and tomorrow he will be promoted to policy director. His father looked so proud of him for what he achieved, and Kim Jun thanked him and said he won't regret that. Following the next days, both commander and deputy of the U.S. forces were visiting Korea. The reporters noticed Kim Jun and his assistants were present in the arrival of the commanders. They kept talking ill of him. Kim then noticed a female reporter he called the last time, so he went to say hi and complimented her article about my latest news. He said in return for the favor, he will come to her first once this deal gets wrapped up. The girl got flattered, but the other reporters were jealous of her having such opportunities. Moments later, the plane holding the commanders was arriving. The commanders got out of the plane, meeting the U.S. military representative, Michael. He then went looking for Kim Jun and shook hands. Both commanders introduced themselves to him. Kim Jun sensed a different vibe from Commander Lee Dong-wook, and that he could feel the aura of a soldier around him. The commander then requested to have a private meeting with Kim Jun. Jun asked if there was anything he wanted to discuss, and the commander said that his thoughts about forcing a change in the military were something that he deeply agrees with. Jun got interested and said that he will make sure to make some time. Entering the meeting room with the commanders and representative, he was met with a request for a 700,000 rounds contract since 500,000 was insufficient for the U.S. military, since they consume a lot every year in training alone. Kim Jun deeply knows that 500,000 rounds would not be even close to being sufficient. He said to make this work, the U.S. has to endure some sacrifices. Michael was happy to discuss whatever Kim Jun has to offer. He explained that to make more rounds per year, there must be a repurpose of the high-explosive shell production lines. But to do that, the U.S. must cover the line repurposing costs. Jun knew it was a risky and hard call, but the U.S. will eventually realize it's their only choice to make it happen. The representative then agreed and told him to secure the 700,000 annual rounds. They started discussing their contract conditions and policies. Jun requested the payment to be given in advance. They agreed with one condition. Upon 5 years, he would allow license production in the U.S. His reasoning was the backlash from U.S. companies. They both shook hands, accepting each other's conditions. Now Miletus has a total sales of 1.4 trillion won and a 420 billion profit. With Jun's royalty, he now will have 56 billion won. The next days, Jun is standing in the room thinking to himself that now he is closer to developing the smart ammunition. But he can't just show it off to the world without getting himself suspicious looks. His future inventions are groundbreaking, and he can't just say he developed them just like that. He needs to build a research institute. His line of thoughts was cut by Secretary Kim telling him that his brother left him a message. He must attend a family gathering at the main house. He repeatedly refused, but she told him his father specifically asked for him to come. Jun arriving at the house, he was already getting stressed out, but suddenly the door opened with his stepmother welcoming him loudly. She took him inside, telling him she heard the news about what he has achieved. Jun got surprised by her treatment, but he suddenly started to regain memories from his friend's past. Hyun-sung was treated like a burden by his original mother, but his stepmother treated him like he was one of her sons. She brought him down to sit at the table. Having some fun at the table with the family reunion, it was cut by the older brother congratulating him for securing that contract, and told him that the Joint Chiefs Chairman called him and complained about being insulted. He is the strongest candidate for the next defense minister. Why did Jun provoke him? He should have done the opposite and appeased him to make the situation a bit better. and now June is the reason why Miletus is at odds with the military. They kept talking back and forth, June saying it's not a big deal and Han Dong-hoon won't even make it to the candidates for Minister of Defense. His brother then lashed at him with hurtful comments and blaming him for all of this. But the chairman told him to keep silence and went on to tell him that it's true Han Dong-hoon won't make it as Minister of Defense since his latest involvement with corruption in the country. He might even get investigated later on. Hyun Chul felt ashamed for his rushed actions and mistakes and excused himself to get out. The family gathering ended, and while Kim Jun was leaving, he was stopped by Hyun Sung's mother to give him a lunchbox and tell him that she loves both of him and his brother equally. He thought to himself that she didn't turn out like how he imagined her to be. He kept thinking at his office about why he lost his temper back then when it's not even his real family. It's his friends. Hyun Sung's family matter. He didn't want to get deeper in useless thoughts. He gathered his thoughts and didn't like that his brother had 8% of the shares. If he grows the company, he will just be benefiting his brother. The only solution is to take control of Miletus by himself. He called Secretary Kim and told her to liquidate all of his assets, explaining to her that he wants to establish a research institute and patent inventions and new materials. And Miletus can handle the rest of the production. He will then get a share of each time they sell weapons made of his material, giving him wealth, then buying shares in Miletus and taking control of the company. After liquidating the assets, they started building the institute. Months have passed and the new research lab is ready. They were both proud of their work, getting closer to conquering Miletus, and called it the Bundang Research Institute. June then proceeded to give his secretary a big bonus, also giving her his credit card to buy herself luxurious clothes and jewelry to look good, and promised they will work closer together from now on, achieving many great milestones. She was happy about it and did as he asked. June then sat on the side of the road looking like he's waiting for someone. A guy with shorts and an open shirt arrived, telling June why he called him so suddenly. June looked at him with sad eyes. It was his friend Hee-won from his past life that sacrificed himself and told him to run with the chip. They sat and chatted a bit. June asked if he saw his old friend, Kim June, since he was curious about what his body was doing on the other side of the world. He answered that he hasn't contacted him for a while and that he might be deep in his research in the US labs. June then offered him to work in his newly established labs, but Hee-won refused, telling him he can't leave his stable job for a shady lab. June gave him a deal, tripling his salary and giving him a new car by next month if he agrees. Hee-won couldn't resist the money, so he agreed to work for him. He was going to be responsible for patenting new materials and recruiting the researchers and talented individuals for the whole lab. Months have passed, and General Michael appeared in the institution requesting faster shipping for the rounds. The manager, Kim, then told June that Hee-won asked to meet him in the lab, meaning that the core material for the smart projectile is complete. He went straight to the lab, greeted with Hee-won throwing at him the new material he invented. A metal texture with a soft feeling like a sponge. June knew from his past life that this is a success, and a step closer to getting the smart ammunition ready. They were nanowire shock absorbers to keep the precision inside the projectile safe. Hee-won said it was a hard project, but June provided all of the key insights, making it a clear path. Getting curious about how he got all the technologies, a few months earlier, June showed the design for the new spongy metal he wanted to patent. Hee-won was shocked by the documents he provided. He had never seen anything like this before, questioning if June sold his soul to the devil, but he didn't care at all and promised to get it ready no matter what. June knew that Hee-won was the most trustworthy person he knew from his past life, still feeling like he owes him for giving up his life to save him in his past life, and promised himself to return the favor in this era. The project for the smart shells is almost finished, with the whole lab team working on it. Hee-won mentioned that they already registered the tantalum microcoating technology, and other countries are already interested in buying the license to use their technology, even reaching 10 billion won. June told him to reject the offer due to the metal being too useful. It would give other countries a bigger advantage over the Korean military, and that more chances and buyers will come with time. June discovered that China and Japan are already trying to develop barrel coating technology before their documenter time he remembers from his past life. In conclusion, his inventions and exportation to the US made other countries progress faster to keep up with the weapon power. He knows he should do the same to not lose the technological race. He told Hee-won to accelerate the development in the research lab. He refused at first, but fell to his knees after being offered 1 billion won as a bonus. Kim June was serious about not losing the advantage. Moving along to the chairman's office, Kim June is asking him to arrange a meeting with Chairman Lee Yong-moon of Samjong. The father asked why he needs to meet him, and June answered that to develop his smart shells, he needs the precision. sensors that Samsung makes, since they are the only company in the world to produce such quality sensors. Chairman was confused as to why, till now, he hears about a weapon being developed. June got nervous because he forgot to mention the lab, research and smart shells project to his father. He ordered him to explain the idea of those smart shells. June explained that they are guided shells that have a navigation system going as far as 150 kilometers. To his father's eyes, this was just a regular missile, so he asked about the cost. Roughly 45 million won per shell. The father disliked the shell being too expensive, but compared to anti-ship missiles costing 1 billion per unit, it's very cheap and could even replace them. He told him that even the US are interested in buying those shells. The father was confused as to why the US military would be interested in buying their weapons. He said that the US Navy could be attempting to develop those guided shells as they speak right now. He knows from his past life that the US military poured billions of dollars to develop this technology, but they failed miserably since the components inside the shells couldn't withstand the pressure. There was no effective shock absorber that was available at that time, but June's future inventions were the solution to that problem: the titanium-based nanowire shock absorber, a sponge-like material that could withstand the pressure inside and keep the electronics safe inside. He also developed a new explosive, more powerful than the regular gunpowder. Every core material was done, and all they needed to complete this weapon was the precision-guided electronics from the Samsung company, and that's why he needed a meeting with the chairman of the company. The father asked if this was one of his lab creations. He knew his son built a research lab behind his back. He asked if he wanted to sell his developments to Miletus for profit. June's plan got busted, and lying would only make matters worse. He told his father that he wanted to take over the company with the profit he's going to make. The father smiled and agreed to arrange a meeting with Samsung's chairman. Before he could celebrate, he asked about how they would split the profit. June wanted 30%. His father said it was a big share, but he agreed to it. When June was about to leave, his father told him to give it all he got and work hard for it, and that he hasn't decided who will inherit the company yet. Kim June was moved by his father's words and felt motivated to work harder, leaving the room. Days have already passed, and June and his father are meeting with the chairman of Samsung Company. After introducing each other, Mr. Lee Yong-moon showed an interest in June and that he wanted to meet him before his father arranged that meeting. He surprised June by asking if he wanted to make memory-based modules. June was flabbergasted by that straightforward question, making him look like a complete rookie. He was clearly unprepared for that meeting. He quickly tried to bring back his face and told him that they wanted to make many memory-based sensor modules for the weapons they are developing, like gyroscopes, accelerometers, and other technologies. Lee Yong told him the semiconductor base might lack the precision for the gyroscope. June explained that it's the only rational choice, and he has ways to improve its accuracy. Lee Yong said if this was a one-time offer, he should not even bring it up. June told him that if they succeed in exporting to the US, it would attract more interest from other allied nations, making the business sustainable. Lee Yong seems to be convinced by what Kim June said. Then he was given a document containing the concept and development progress of the smart shells. Upon reading, he realized this was a futuristic invention and quickly agreed to partner with Kim June. His father and Chairman Lee Yong kept chatting with each other, pleading their concerns about business. June already knows what will happen in the future and how Lee's business will go, but he remained silent until he was personally asked by Lee about his opinion on whether he should focus on making semiconductors or not. He heard a lot about him having an exceptional future vision on business. June said that in his opinion, he should not abandon making CPUs, referring to the alpha chip he's developing. Even with the chip's financial struggles, upon reading, he realized this was a futuristic invention and quickly agreed to partner with Kim June. But if he continues developing CPUs, Samsung will dominate the industry 20 years from now. Lee Yong was shocked to hear the alpha chip being mentioned at this meeting, since a lot of big companies like Intel dominate the whole market and can't do anything about it. June knows from his past life that he won't take his advice, so he told him to target the foundry industry. Foundry is a semiconductor company that manufactures chips based on other companies' designs. If Samsung stepped back from CPU design, fabless companies will feel safer in trusting production to the company without fearing IP leaks. Fabless are the companies that only design semiconductors and outsource all production. Lee Yong told him that this whole thing is frustrating and that other companies having the 180 nanometer process feels like a dream to him. June surprised him that he already built a 90 nanometer process and asked if he wanted it. Lee Yong said. With this type of technology, they could dominate the global semiconductor market. Jun revealed that he wants Lee Yong's company to be his foundry, since he won't need to build trillions worth of factories just to produce semiconductors, and that having his 90-nanometer process invention will bring him more revenue in the fabless market. Lee Yong discovered Jun's true intentions, and that he wasn't just a lucky shot, but actually a mastermind genius. He asked why did he choose Samjong out of all other companies. Jun answered that it was an obvious choice. Samjong is in desperate need of this technology, which means he can extract the money from him. Lee Yong thought to himself that Kim Jun is a man he should not have as his enemy. The next day, Jun is seen watching the news on TV about the Samjong company investing 30 trillion won in the CPU design, entering the foundry market. Jun and Lee Yong agreed the other day to a 40 billion deal and 2 years of exclusivity. Jun was happy about the deal and that he doesn't need to worry about his lab's operation funds now. The semiconductor is well sold, so once the memory modules are produced, the preparation for production will be complete. The issue now is how to convince the military how superior the smart shells are to the regular high-explosive shells. Due to the price difference, everyone will be skeptical about it. Cutting his train of thoughts, a news about NATO declaring immediate intervention in the Kosovo crisis, announcing airstrikes on the Serbia region. Jun was caught by surprise, since the airstrikes should have happened in 1999, as he remembers from his past life. But it's only 1998. He knew it was a historical turning point. A few days later, Jun is at a coffee shop and seems to be looking for someone. The general called out for Jun at a table. He was surprised to see Kim Tae-ik and Lee Dong here too. General Lee Dong wasn't happy that Jun forgot his promise to arrange a meeting with him when he had the time. The mood of the room was a little tense, and Jun noticed that the general was wearing his military uniform. He wore it just in case he got called to the Blue House for the Kosovo issue. The commander asked Jun if he heard about the chairman-leader of Joint Chiefs and his urgent retirement. They kept talking about the news of him becoming a defense contractor, and Jun said that he doesn't feel any threat from him since he's not going to be the Minister of Defense. Lee Dong said that he hasn't changed, but his followers were all demoted to lesser positions, so he really can't do anything. Jun suggested jumping into the main topic they wanted to meet for, and if it had anything to do with the NATO airstrikes. The commander said that it is true, and that he wanted to make a hard request to Jun. He heard that in 5 years, he will only be supplying the parts of the new armor-piercing rounds. Jun asked if there was any issue with that, to which the commander denied that, but he is asking if around those 5 years they can sell this technology to the US. Jun was surprised and didn't believe he wanted to sell it to them. The commander said it is a big ask, but he wanted to strike a deal with the US. They would sell the piercing rounds if the US military rented them the military-grade GPS, since their military is only using commercial GPS, and the military will compensate any losses the Miletus group suffers. Jun angrily replied that he doesn't want to sell that technology, and that they are a private company, not a state agency. How would it make sense to sell their technologies to the US? The commander said that the military GPS is essential at this time, but the US won't give up such a strategic asset, and Korea does not have the capacity to launch dozens of military satellites. So following the current situation, this is the most reliable option to have the US GPS. Jun said that he doesn't trust the military's words since they have let him down with the last compensation promise they made. The deputy commander said that by that time, the profitability will decrease, and the US might develop its own armor-piercing rounds, so it is better to receive compensation from the military. Jun said that this is not a problem and the US will never develop this technology, not even in 5 or 10 years. He then said that there's no reason to feel defeated by it. Soon the US will sell their GPS to him. Both general and commander were confused by what Jun said. He asked them to come by the TV so he can explain with a video he prepared earlier. He puts the videotape in the DVD and plays the news he recorded this morning. They asked why he would record dumb bombs being dropped. They already saw it on the news. He told them to look closer and noticed that those bombs were different from regular dumb bombs. The bombs changed direction mid-air whilst being dropped. They realized the explosion area is concentrated in one building range. They were shocked at how this was even possible. Jun explained that it is a joint direct attack munition, a regular bomb equipped with precision guidance technology, making it able to change its direction to meet the tagged area with GPS. The commander said if their military heard about the US replacing the regular bomb with the missiles, it will be chaos everywhere. Jun said that this is why he wanted to meet with General Kim Tae-ik today. He suggested equipping guiding technologies to artillery shells for long-range precision strikes, so they can strike from 150 kilometers kilometers away. It is the new weapon Miletus is developing right now, smart shells. June gave the general the document summarizing the development progress. The core materials are already developed, and in a few months they will be conducting live tests, and they need the U.S. military GPS for their smart shell weapon. He plans to sell the smart shell technology to the U.S. in exchange for their military GPS, so there would be no need to make a deal with the tungsten rounds. The general asked if the joint direct attack munition and smart shells are the same, then the U.S. can also make the JDAM as artillery already. June then replied that the U.S. can never develop them for artillery, for the reasons that artillery missiles need to withstand the force generated by the explosion of the gunpowder, or else the precision guiding technologies inside will be destroyed. And to solve that problem, Miletus developed a new material, and it is the nanowire shock absorber. It could completely absorb the barrel pressure, securing all the sensitive technologies inside. And the second reason is the size difference between a smart shell and a JDAM. The US has not succeeded yet in scaling down the components to fit into a 1.5-meter shell. Miletus solved this by replacing all the guidance systems with semiconductor electronic sensors, sacrificing a tiny bit of accuracy, but with the US military GPS, they will achieve better accuracy than the JDAM. The general said, if what he is saying is the truth, the military will do anything to secure this. He took the documents and told him he is heading to the Joint Chiefs of Staff right now, and the military will call June soon. In the next scene, at Kim Jun's research lab, Hee-won appears exhausted from all the work he's been doing lately. June told him that he has more work for him. Hee-won snapped at him, asking how he could bring more work while the whole research lab team looks like zombies from all the tiring work. June replied that he needs to bear with him for 2 more years and that he plans to share some equity shares with all the researchers of the lab, and that 3 years from now, the value of the company will rise by 100 times. Hee-won and his researchers got motivated to work more, so June told him that he wants him to make carbon fiber after he is done working on the current project. Hee-won said that the equipment he has in this lab is not enough to make carbon fiber. He needs to replace all the equipment first and needs all the latest hardware to make it possible. June asked him if he was confident about this, and to Hee-won reassuring him that he would make whatever he asked him to make. The phone in June's pocket vibrated. He wasn't expecting any calls today, so who could be the caller? He picked up the phone and it was news about the current location of Kim Jun, his original body that he requested. It turned out his body was dead and buried in West Virginia in the USA. June was so shocked by this information. His original body died in a car accident while traveling with a girl named Kate on January 5th. His friend Hee-won was furious about it and screaming, asking to let him go to America to make sure himself. June told him with a frustrated face to calm down and that he would fact-check this himself. Hee-won was in tears, screaming at him how he could be so calm when his best friend Kim Jun was dead. No one knows that the one in Hyun-sung's body is Kim Jun himself. Kim Jun was lying on the floor, lost in thought. His original body died on the 5th of January, his birthday, and the day his friend Hyun-sung died, and the same day he got reincarnated in this era. He had a feeling that if he got Hyun's body, then Hyun would be inside Jun's body. Then he could shake off the guilt of not being there in his final moments, and he wouldn't have left him alone in this world. His thoughts were interrupted by the secretary Kim telling him he shouldn't push himself to pull it together. He has the right to grieve and cry all he wants about his closest friend. June shed a tear but quickly wiped it, jokingly saying that she referred to him by his name. She asked him if she should go over his next schedule, and he replied that he couldn't ignore the work at a time like this. She told him that he had lunch with the Prime Minister the day after tomorrow. He asked the reason for that lunch to her, replying that the U.S. Department of Defense had fully paid for the new armor-piercing round, all in dollars. He knew it was more of a congratulation part than a lunch meeting. Since the foreign reserves were running dry, it was a reason to celebrate. He ordered the secretary to cancel the lab research meeting after tomorrow. She then asked him if he had an outfit for the occasion. Due to the economic crisis, he shouldn't buy an overly expensive suit, suggesting going to a local store after work to choose a nice suit from. June was surprised by her attention to details and agreed to what she suggested. He went to check the payment records she left for him on the desk. Exactly 56 billion won. All that money was surplus money, and locking all that money in the bank was stupid. He settled for the idea of buying real estate. He could afford a big building with 56 billion won, hold on to it for a few years, and then sell it to provide funds to secure at least a 4% stake in Miletus. Kim entered the room again and told him if he wanted to leave work early today to go to the suit shop. June agreed to that and went with Secretary Kim to the shop. She helped him try various suits, seeing which one would fit him best. Suddenly, a woman's scream was heard, talking about her wallet being lost. She was so frustrated about it. The cashier told her there was nothing they could do about it. June saw the conversation and how sad the woman looked. He wanted to take matters into his own hands and help her out since he was in a similar spot. One day, he paid for his suit and for what the woman bought without her knowing. His secretary was weirded out by it and jealously asked if he knew her before. The woman's husband then came with her wallet in his hands, telling her to be more careful with it. She pulled out a silver credit card and asked the cashier to get her the finest wallet in the shop to give it to June. The days after, June appeared in the luncheon they arranged for him. Chairman Lee Yong-moon noticed him and got up to greet him. People started talking about June and his exporting success lately. Lee Yong told him not to worry about the people and that he would get used to it. An old man suddenly entered the scene with many personal guards around him. June didn't know who that was, and Lee Yong told him he was Chairman Han Myun-ho, a big name in the industry. He should greet him once things calm down. June found it weird for Chairman Lee Yong to go out of his way to greet some normal-looking old man. The young woman with Han Myun noticed June and greeted him politely. A man out of nowhere came and greeted Lee Yong, asking who the young man beside him was. June couldn't hide his expression of disgust from seeing this guy. He knew him from his past life. It's Kim Pan-woo from the Woo Young Group. In June's past life, the Korean government was trying to develop a submarine powered by a nuclear weapon after secretly getting the design plans from Russia. June's team was responsible for the development of the submarine. After countless failures and being close to success, Pan-woo was the National Defense Commissioner at the time. He leaked the submarine project to the media as a cover-up for his corruption, leading to the stop of the nuclear submarine development project. June was clearly furious seeing the face of Pan-woo. He then recognized him as the second son of Chairman Jin Hyun-pil of Jae-woo. Kim June tried to excuse himself and leave since he wasn't comfortable talking to this man. Pan-woo stopped him and said that he wanted to talk to him for a while. He recently heard from General Matsubashi that he declined the offer to share his technology of tantalum microcoding. June said with a strict face that the rumors were correct and asked why he was bringing that up now. Pan-woo said that he was just advising him not to get into a salty relationship with Matsubashi over something small like a metal coating technology, and that he shouldn't get cocky over his lab achieving one invention. Matsubashi is a global corporation that has a big influence, and selling that technology for a good price and making good ties with Matsubashi would be more beneficial to him. June was so angry at Pan-woo's words, questioning if he knew anything about weapons and the impact tantalum coating technology could make. The only advantage Korea holds over Japan is their army, and giving them this technology will make Japan have so much more army power than Korea. Pan-woo said that Woo-young could make it and sell it themselves, to which June replied that it was not possible due to the lack of technological capabilities. Pan-woo didn't take his words with an open mind, but Lee Yong took June away, saying it was not the time for useless discussions. This meeting was filled with big names and important people. Talking to them and making ties would be so beneficial for him. June thanked him for his consideration, and Lee Yong said he could thank him with a drink later. He wanted to discuss some business matters. Han Myun noticed the chairman and June talking and got curious about what they were chatting about. The young woman beside him greeted June and gave the gift, saying it was a token of appreciation for his help earlier. June didn't recognize her at first, the difference was too big. Lee Yong apologized for not greeting him earlier since he looked so busy. Then Hyun-sung's father came in a hurry, greeting Han Myun. Han Myun criticized his late arrival, to which Chairman Hyun-pil responded that he was rehearsing his speech preparation for today. He told him that Kim June, known as Hyun-seung, was his second son. Han Myun said it was such a small world. Who would have thought his daughter and his son would cross paths? Han then asked June to meet him later and personally thank him for helping his daughter Heejin. Both his father and Chairman Lee Yong were very surprised that he was personally invited to Han Myun's house. June said that he already had plans with the chairman of Samjung, but Han insisted on thanking him. June agreed to next Monday and was given the address to the house. Heejin apologized for her father's imposing and said that he was curious about him. After he left, Samjung's chairman started explaining that Han Myun was an incredible financier that loans to big corporations. He's also one of the biggest real estate magnates in Korea. He deals with trillions of won every day. He advised him to stay on good terms with him. He might need him in the future. June said that it was obvious, but he was not interested in private loans. Pan-woo then stopped Chairman Han Myun, begging him to give him a loan again, to which the chairman angrily denied. June saw what happened and thought to himself if Chairman Han was the only reason Woo-young hadn't collapsed to the ground yet. Following the next days, June arrived at Han's house, knocked on the door, and Heejin opened it. She welcomed him, and to his surprise, she didn't look anything like the last time he saw her at the luncheon. He stared for a few seconds, and Heejin got embarrassed, yet also flattered by his passionate look. She told him to come into the garden. Her father was waiting for him. June was amazed by how amazing the house looked. He sat in front of Han Myun, and Han was piercing him with his looks. Heejin told her father to stop staring at him like that, to which he apologized and said he had a habit of studying people's faces. June curiously asked what he concluded from looking at his face. Han said that he was very unique, not like any other, as if his outside did not match his inside. He then asked Heejin why her son-in-law wasn't here yet. She told him that he had a meeting with Kim Panwoo. He told her to tell Pan to get his collateral, and it would be the last time he lent him any money. June thought to himself that Kim Panwoo shouldn't stay around for longer, and told Han Myun that it obviously would not be the last time he lent him money, and requested an immediate suspension of credit from Chairman Kim Panwoo. He explained that even if he kept lending him money, it wouldn't save Wooyoung Heavy Industry from collapsing. He would only keep losing money to cover up for Panwoo's losses. June knew from his past life that Wooyoung Company had been revived many times when it faced bankruptcy, but always fell short while after, and it was all thanks to Han Myun and his loans. If this continued, Chairman Han's losses would keep growing, and Panwoo would slide into the political field and be a cancer to the country. Han asked how a company that developed ship engine manufacturing technology could have no potential at all. June said that what Wooyoung claims to have developed is a complete lie, and the technology he talked about is nothing but a discarded design. And Matsubashi has already developed an engine 20% more powerful, so the technology Wooyoung has is pretty much garbage. Chairman Han found it hard to believe what June was saying, since it was critical information about money going without his notice, and asked how he obtained that information, to which June responded that he couldn't disclose his sources, and said that Chairman Panwoo was funneling money overseas and clearly had no intentions of saving the company. Chairman Han Myun was shocked by what June said and asked if he could back this information. His decision could take down a major corporation like Wooyoung. June jokingly said that he was only sharing rumors he had heard. Han Myun immediately asked his daughter to call Seo Bang and tell him to stop the loan right now and recover every penny if Panwoo's embezzlement was true. Han Myun was overwhelmed by this. How could this go without his notice? June said that he was surprised too that Chairman Lee Yong was cautious around Han. Han said that without him, his father would have bankrupted the company many years ago. June knew that before he came, but what piqued his interest was how he managed to stay under the radar for so long. And despite having such significant influence across the economic world, he had never been exposed, not even once, even with the countless changes of administrations. It was a clear sign of overwhelming power over the government and corporations. Han then said that for this, he owed him another debt. June then said that he only offered advice because he knew that he would suffer losses otherwise. Han told him if Panwoo embezzlement turns out to be true, he will owe him a big one. There is no such thing as a free favor. It is an unspoken rule to always repay your debts. He asked if he was interested in real estate. June was passionate about real estate. Han could recommend him some great properties, like one that was worth 70 billion won before the IMF crisis, but its current market price has fallen to 40 billion won. However, if Han Myun got involved, it will go down to the range of 30 billion won. June asked if knocking 40 billion is significant even for Han Myun, to which he answered that it is possible through auctions. In the auctions, if a property fails to sell, its price in the market drops so quickly. So the winning move here is, when Han Myun enters an auction, no one dares to bid against him. If he lets it fail 2 or 3 times, knocking off 10 billion is nothing. It makes sense that no one would dare bid against someone like Han Myun. He would lose 100%, especially when losing it would mean being blacklisted in the economic world. So not bidding and staying out of his sight is the best move. Han Myun has been buying properties dirt cheap with this method for so long. June realized that he is standing in front of the devil himself. Han then asked about June's opinion and if this was enough to repay his debt to June, replying that he will happily take the real estate. Moving forward to the auction courtroom, we see a silent crowd, and among them, Han Myun and Kim June. As expected, no one bid except Han. Han took a document and saw that the loan of the property was 30 billion won. So the winning bid will go to recover the loan alone. June said that objections might occur, since the property is clearly undersold with 30 billion. Han then said that if he let it fail in auctions continually, they will recover nothing, and that letting it only fail 2 to 3 times is out of the goodness in his heart. June had a feeling that something was bound to happen. Not long after, the head of Cha-il Bank's legal team came to Han. He said that he figured he would be involved in a prime property. Han asked if he was planning to file an objection, to which he replied that he just wanted to greet him and nothing more. Even his president told them not to trouble Chairman Han Myun. June was surprised that even the bank president bows to Chairman Han Myun. The head of the bank then asked why he appointed such a young man as his proxy for this. Han said it was a very rude question to ask. He said that he is not his proxy but his business partner. Following the next days, Jun is sitting next to Han in his car. Han asked him if he plans to keep the building he acquired. Jun said that he wants to sell it for a reasonable price, and he can't take care of a whole building. Han said it was a wise decision since he purchased it at a low price already. He should get a decent profit out of it. He told him to consider it as a payback for the issue with Panwoo. He stopped and said that there is something he wanted to ask him. He asked him if he needs a lump sum of money these days. His face says it all. It is true Jun was going restless since he decided to buy shares of Miletus stock. Han asked if it was about the fight over Miletus and beating his brother Jin Hyun, or maybe his ambition is bigger than that. He is planning to acquire Miletus only as a stepping stone to achieve something far greater than that. Jun was flabbergasted by Han's conclusion and how accurate it is. Han said that he might be able to help. Since he needs funds to acquire Miletus shares, he will continue assisting with him in auctions like he did before, but not for free. He asked as payback he can sell 20% of his research lab. Jun was caught off guard by that. He didn't know. Han was investigating his research lab. Jun calmly declined the trade, saying that his lab is not something he can sell, and he knows that without needing to explain. He admitted how impressive it was to assess his lab's value in such a short while. Jun said that it is true that he wants his help and asked if he could repay him another way perhaps. Jun proposed to him that while he lends money to many corporations and companies, he can give him his loan portfolio, and with his information network, he will identify the companies that will likely fail, becoming a burden to him. Han said that it is ridiculous. Only God knows the trade market and the failings and successes of companies. It is the IMF era where even profitable companies could collapse. Does he think that it is possible to predict companies' future using only their financial statements and information? Jun interrupted him and called out, Hansu Group will declare bankruptcy within the next week. Jun knows from his future that it will definitely fail. And to Han's surprise, he saw the declaration of bankruptcy on the news exactly the next week. He called for Jun and told him that he accepts his offer. If he can sort out potential failing companies from his loan portfolio, he will then fully support him. He asked how he knew about the Hansu situation. Even the government couldn't tell. Jun said that it was a conclusion based on analyzing government information and the overall situation, and he will use all his capabilities to reorganize his portfolio. The next days, Jun went through 10 notebooks worth of data, a total of 186 countries, and listed the countries that had the potential of failing, and selected 20 promising companies that Han might be interested in investing in. Jun appeared at Han's office. Han asked what is this Nexol company that he never heard about. He doesn't remember lending money to them. Jun said that it is a suggestion from him that he might be interested to fund. Han didn't buy the idea of investing in a company that he never heard of. Jun said that he needs to think of it as investing in a person, not a company, and think far in the future, at least 10 years. Han said that he might not even live for 10 years. Why would he be interested? He replied that it is something his daughter will harvest. Han liked the way Jun was thinking and asked about this Nelson guy. Jun said that his name is Seo Tung Hwan, a former financial advisor for Taiwu Motors. He founded a venture company. Han should meet him personally to see for himself. If he decided to invest in him, the return in the future will be astronomical. Nexol will be the top biosimilar company in the country in the future. Han was intrigued by Jun glazing that guy and said that he will assist in his auctions 10 times. No more, no less. Jun didn't react due to not knowing how much profit he could make from 10 auctions, really. Han asked if he can turn 76 billion won Jun has into at least 200 billion. Jun was shocked. It could definitely secure more than 6% of Miletus' stake. He was so happy and excited about it, and both agreed, leading to a long relationship between the two.